From KVUE News in Austin, you're watching Texas This Week with Ashley Goodo.
Good morning. The fight over the Texas congressional district map is moving from the Texas Capitol to a federal courtroom. And Texas lawmakers are trying to crack down on abortion pills. More on that in just a minute. But first, let's get to the 3 things you need to know in Texas politics. Tomorrow, September 1st, 835 new state laws will go into effect. From the state's $338 billion 2-year budget to the largest rollout of an education savings account or voucher program in the country. The legislation was all passed by Texas lawmakers during the regular session, which lasted from January to May. Lines are being drawn in the Santa Ed of the Republican primary for Texas Attorney General. 2 former AG deputies are running, and each of them are drawing big endorsements. This week, Attorney General Ken Paxton endorsed Aaron Wright, while U.S. Senator Ted Cruz is throwing his support behind Austin area Congressman Chip Roy, who has a rocky relationship with Paxton. With Roy out of the race for Congress, a name familiar with baseball fans is running to replace him. This week, former Texas Ranger and New York Yankee Mark Teixeira launched his campaign for Congressional District 21.
Texas is now more red in the United States Congress.
On Friday, Governor Greg Abbott signed House Bill 4 into law, redrawing the state's congressional district map. The map creates 5 Republican opportunity districts, redrawing lines to flip blue seats red. Democrats say it comes on the backs of black and brown voters. The NAACP filed a federal lawsuit against the map this week in an effort to stop it from taking effect. That new map makes significant changes to 5 current districts, including one in the Dallas area that was represented by former Congressman, now U.S. Senate candidate, Colin Allred. And Allred says if he's elected, he will work to end gerrymandering on a federal level. We sat down to talk about his idea. You served in Congress. You are very familiar with the dynamic in the U.S. House of Representatives, and we're now entering this space where you're having Texas redo its maps, California going to redo. You have all these states now saying this. People are describing it as an arms race of sorts for redistricting. Does this concern you?
I hate it. I hate the whole thing. I think the gerrymandering has broken the Congress. It's made it completely dysfunctional. Because what it does is it elects people who are only, when you have a critical mass of people who are only responsible to a small sliver of the folks they represent who are going to vote in their primary, and they don't feel like they have any broader responsibilities, then they're not there to actually get anything done oftentimes when they get to Congress. They're just there to throw rocks, get on social media, get on cable news, but they're not actually there to solve problems. And so gerrymandering just makes that worse. And we are gerrymandering a gerrymander here in Texas. But what I think we have to do in response to that around the country is not let them rig the election so that we can then say, give them the chance, and this is what I want to do in the Senate. We will ban gerrymandering nationwide. We require every state to have a nonpartisan commission to draw their districts. And we'll move on from this ridiculousness of politicians picking their voters instead of voters picking their politicians. For example, California had this in place, and what they had was, political scientists and experts who are drawing the maps, at least instead of politicians, right? And so there's no perfect system. But what I think you can try and do is remove, I think, the inherently corrupt element of having people who have a self-interest in what their district's going to be, being involved in the drawing of that district. And ultimately what this is about is that after the election, there's going to be a district where folks are going to have to call their member of Congress for help. That's what they called my office for help for, was help with their IRS, with their taxes, help with the VA for veterans benefits. And I knew every cross street in my district because I was born and raised in it. Now they've destroyed the district that I represented. It was a majority-minority district. It's gone. And they're combining parts of Dallas with parts of Upshur County in East Texas. And I love Upshur County in East Texas. I had to do a report on it in 7th grade. But these are places that within the same congressional district may have competing interests and may need to have different representatives, right? And so you break down even the purpose of a representative. And so to me, this is destructive to our democracy, destructive to confidence in Congress, and it's going to ultimately lead to more dysfunction in Congress.
It's been quite a week in the Texas House of Representatives. Talk to us about just overall the feel of this week as, the special session is kind of winding down-ish.
Well, I think just the nature of a special session is so compressed that it's long hours, It's much more intensive. So I would say it's pretty high stress situation right now, and most of us feel like it's going to be much better if we just get out of town. This session needs to end because it's just kind of crazy over there.
The speaker hoped that it would be done by this weekend. It obviously is not. You guys are coming back on Tuesday.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, there were some so-called must-pass bills that hadn't made it through the process, and so we will be back at least Tuesday and Wednesday for sure. I don't know if it's going to be any longer than that. And then, of course, the governor always has an option of calling another special session if he chooses to.
Yeah. You know, let's talk about one of the big bills that passed this week. It had to do with abortion pills. Yes. Explain to us, because I think people may hear this and go, well, it's already illegal in Texas to mail abortion pills, to get the abortion pills. Talk to us about what this bill did.
Yeah, well, in fact, you're correct. Senate Bill 4 that was passed after the last quorum break did prohibit the mailing of abortion pills into Texas. That did not stop it from happening, though. And in fact, once the Senate Bill 8, the so-called heartbeat bill, and the trigger ban passed, essentially there was no option for an abortion in Texas, though many women still wanted to access abortion health care. So what became the easiest thing to do for those that could not travel out of state to go to a state where it's legal was to find a way to access the pills online. And there are some programs that do that. And this bill is trying to tamp down on that, not only in Texas, but set up a unique, novel kind of judicial process that includes what we are referring to as vigilantes that would be able to, as a private person, sue that person, sue the distributor, sue the producer of the medication, with the intention being to eventually have this go nationwide. Bypass the whole court system here in Texas, take it to the federal courts, take it to the Supreme Court, and get abortion pills made illegal across the entire country. That's the goal.
Yeah, and obviously this is something that you disagree with.
Yes.
Talk to us about what you feel like the harm is really in that.
Well, there's a lot of things that are harmed here. You know, I came of age before Roe v. Wade. I know what it was like when women who wanted abortions resorted to some very unsafe things and women died. The difference now with not having coat hangers, as were used back in the day, is that we have a very safe, effective medication. That has meant that even though women have had obstacles to access abortion health care, if they can get these medications, they have a safe, effective way to terminate the pregnancy without really any complications. It's an extremely minor amount of complications that occur. So with something that's safe and effective, we've actually saved women's lives. And if the intention here is to save the lives of women, one of the ways we do that is allow them access to safe, effective health care. And just because someone chooses to say that abortion should not be legal, that they don't agree with it, doesn't mean that there won't be women who are going to still want to seek abortion health care. That has always been the case from recorded history from a long time ago.
House Bill 7 is now headed to the Senate for consideration, and the clock is running out on the second special session of the Texas legislature. There's just 14 days left, and lawmakers won't be back at the Capitol until Tuesday. That's Texas This Week.